now, and then I'll engage with him and tell him to just wait until I give him the indication to proceed.
Because it'll be about 20 seconds after I start the meeting. Wait till the bell rings.
The number you have dialed is not in service.
We can go to Dennis to do the opening prayer.
It's easy. We'll wait till the clock strikes 10.
Hello, Tim speaking.
Good morning, Pastor Winton. It's Colette speaking here from the Fraser Coast Regional Council.
Hello.
Welcome to our meeting. We've got our post-election meeting. We have the mayor and councillors. We're ready to commence with the meeting. I will give you an indication when we will proceed doing the prayer. Please wait.
Good morning, everyone. I'll call to the start of our very first council meeting for the new term. I want to commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the Butchulla people, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. The first item we have on the agenda is the opening prayer by Pastor Tim Winnington. Pastor Tim.
Pastor Tim, if you can please proceed with the prayer. Pastor Tim, can you hear me?
Hello, Tim speaking.
Good morning, Pastor. This is Colette speaking from the Fraser Coast Regional Council. I have the Mayor and Council on the line. Can you please proceed with the prayer for us this morning? Good morning, can you hear me?
That's a good sign.
Good morning, Pastor. Can you hear me? Hello?
He's hung up.
No, I think
I
we'll move
will
on.
try an alternative line.
Okay, yeah, we'll move on for now and maybe come back to that. I think that's what she's doing.
Yeah. Maybe his reception's bad.
Okay.
Cool. Try the landline.
We do have a landline that I can try, an alternative number.
Yes.
Here today. First things first, I just want to congratulate Mayor Seymour and the elected councillors. You guys are amazing. You've been elected for such a time as this. Our community believes in you. You are the right people to move our community forward today, and I just want to say thank you right now. If you don't mind, I could just read a quick scripture and then I'll pray, and then so I just want to honour your time this morning. The scripture is from Mark. If you want to be the greatest leader, then live a life as called to serve others. The path to promotion and prominence comes by having a heart of a bondslave who serves everyone. Today, I believe there's something in that for all of us. The more we serve, the greater influence we can have as leaders today. Look, we've been called for such a time as this. You are called to bring this community forward, to bring the Fraser Coast forward in direction. So let's just pray and pray a blessing over each and every one of you and our Fraser Coast. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, today I want to thank you. I want to thank you for Mayor Seymour and the councillors and the Fraser Coast Regional Council. Today I pray that you bless each and every one of them as they serve our community. I pray for unity as they come together. I pray for wisdom as they make decisions. And finally, I want to thank you for the Fraser Coast and bless us as we move forward and become a vibrant, prosperous region. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Cheers, mate.
Thank you to Pastor Tim for that. That was, as people are very aware, we are under different circumstances to normal, where we will be, we're here meeting here today in very different circumstances, and thank you for Pastor Tim for communicating the opening prayer through telephone. The second item is apologies and leave of absence. We're all the entire new council, newly sworn in, is here today, so there are no apologies. Item 3, disclosure of interests. There are no disclosures of interests. If you think of one during the meeting, please speak then. Item 4 on the agenda, the confirmation of declaration of office. The recommendation is there at item 4.1. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Phil Truscott, a seconder. Councillor Lee, did you wish to speak to it? Councillor Truscott? Are there any speakers? Yep. Sorry? No, people would just speak to the motion. Yeah. Councillor Paul Truscott.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm happy to speak to this. I'd just like to take this opportunity to congratulate yourself and all councillors here on their appointment, and for myself to thank the residents of Division 3 for their continued support. I'm pleased with the outcome of the election result and think we've got a great team going forward. Congratulations to you, George, as the Mayor. I think you've done a great job for stability in leading the region, and also as the first Fraser Coast Mayor to be re-elected. So congratulations to you on that. I'd just like to pass on my personal thanks to former councillors and colleagues, Ian Madden, Rolf Light and Stuart Taylor for their efforts and contributions made to our council and to the region. And personally to thank former Councillor Stuart Taylor for the contribution he made to the region, and to myself as an individual, and for his friendship. I thank him for that. To the new councillors, to Councillor Wellings, Councillor Lee, and to returning Councillor Truscott, we acknowledge there's probably going to be an interesting time coming into the council during a pandemic, and there's probably going to be some confusions with 2 Councillor Davids and 2 Councillor P. Truscotts, which is going to make things interesting, but I'm sure we can get past that. But I'm looking forward to our region getting past this pandemic and then providing strong and recovery for the community, and I really look forward to what we can do. While we have to, I don't like the term social distancing. I prefer it should be physical distancing, because I think now is a time more than ever we should be socially connected. But again, I am in favour of this, obviously, and just want to congratulate and thank everyone for what they've done in their efforts.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Lewis.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take this opportunity too, if I may, just to say a couple of remarks about the new term, and I guess to thank my wife and my friends and helpers for all their assistance during the course of the election campaign, which in Division 6 at least was particularly heavily contested. Susan, as you may know, is a former councillor of the Hervey Bay City Council, and she is, might I say, a regular source of advice, and certainly a great source of help to me. And I want to acknowledge that. I want to thank, as I say, all the people who assisted me during the campaign, all the voters who voted for me. Obviously, without you, I wouldn't be here. But I also want to acknowledge all the people who voted for somebody else and assure them that their concerns are not forgotten, their input is valuable. In terms of the future, I'm looking forward to advancing the matters which I was working on in the last term, things like improved planning, better community outcomes, enhancement of the environment, continued work in terms of developing the arts community, and specifically issues such as developing libraries, developing the rail trail. Hopefully we can finish that during the course of the next term, especially if higher governments are going to pour money into us, and matters such as better cycle and pedestrian connectivity and for that matter pedestrian crossings and so on. I just want to say something about former Councillor Stuart Taylor. We had an opportunity, and several of us took the opportunity at the last council meeting to thank Anne Madden and Rolf Light for their contributions, and I acknowledge that again, but they were retiring voluntarily. Stuart was in a different position, so we didn't get an opportunity to say something about him, and I just thought it might be appropriate to say a few words. I hadn't met Stuart prior to the 2016 campaign. I got to know him on the hustings, as it were, and while I suspected at the time that he and I might have differences, he was nonetheless welcoming and warming. After we'd both been elected, he and a few others and myself got together for some coffee, and in the course of that conversation he turned to me and said, "What do you want to achieve for the Fraser Coast?" And I think that was indicative of his whole focus. What can we do for the community? I think it's no exaggeration to say that Stuart had the best mind in the room, councillors or staff. He had an ability to analyse any issue quickly and penetratingly, and to marshal his arguments into a form designed not merely to persuade but to enlighten. He was the one who could spot the flaws or the risks in any proposal and bring these to our attention. He had an amazing recall of the history of a matter, and while the rest of us were still getting our pencils out, he'd dredge up previous resolutions from his iPad and tell us what council had done years before and how well or otherwise it had worked. He had great skills in governance and a good grasp of legislation. And one could see his years of experience in the courtroom when he used a series of questions to tease out an issue and at the same time to make his point without using up his one opportunity under the standing orders to speak on the subject. The last term had some challenges for him, and I won't dwell on that today. I know he thought long and hard about whether he would recontest. But however that may be, and in making these remarks, let me make it clear, I mean no disrespect to Councillor Lee, whom I congratulate on his election and with whom I look forward to working. But I know Stuart will be missed in this forum, both for his talents and for his friendship. I certainly expect that he will have more to offer in the community indeed being his passion, and I look forward to that, and I wish him all the best. I take the opportunity to wish each and every one of you the best for a very productive 4 years, and I certainly look forward to working with you and with the community. Thank you.
Are there any further speakers on the motion? Councillor Lee.
I'd like to say I'm humbled and honoured to represent the constituents in Division 9, and I thank my family and all of my many supporters that supported me throughout the campaign. I also acknowledge that there's many people who didn't vote for me, and I'll be operating in the next term to ensure that I'm representing all constituents in Division 9, and as Councillor Lewis referred to before, acting in the best interest of the Fraser Coast region. I'd also like to acknowledge Councillor Stuart Taylor's efforts over the last 2 terms in Fraser Coast Council, and I wish him and his family well as they embark in the next stage of their journey in life. When I first announced I was running some 6 months ago, COVID-19 wasn't even on the agenda. It wasn't even in my thought processes at that time. And I've engaged with many constituents over the last 6 months, particularly thoroughly enjoyed door-to-door engagements throughout the community, and just listening to what people's concerns were. And I found that a very informative process, just listening to what people's concerns were. Some of the big issues that I'd like to see addressed over the next term, notwithstanding COVID-19, is better local and regional planning. I'm particularly interested in principles of sustainability and future-proofing in mapping out their long-term process and planning for council and for our region. I'm also particularly interested in improving transparency around the decision-making processes. And I think in terms of big decisions, a business case is a very good way of evidencing the thought process, a rational thought process that council has gone through in terms of making a prudent investment in really what amounts to scarce resources. We don't have unlimited resources, but I think a business case is a very good way of demonstrating transparency and those local government principles which we've heard about in induction, which are enshrined in the legislation, and the whole Local Government Act is based around principle-based legislation. So I've talked about transparency, better long-term planning. The other issue that emerged, notwithstanding at that time we were in drought, in late last year we had the drought, we then had the bushfires, and now we're dealing with COVID-19. But many people raised the issue of water security, and that's something that I think it's certainly the perception out in the community that our population is fast exceeding the available water supply. That's the perception that I've picked up in the community, and so I'll be very interested in advancing that issue in the next term. COVID-19 clearly is going to overshadow the next term, and our community is looking to us to provide leadership as a united council. And in the next term of 4 years, I'm looking forward to working with councillors. Each bring their own unique experience and background, and I think that there's a lot of expertise here sitting in council to make rational, thoughtful, sustainable long-term decisions and act in the best interest of the Fraser Coast region. Yes, we all represent each division. We'll all have many items on a list that we've collated very carefully over the last 6 or so months as we've campaigned, but ultimately the legislation requires us to act in the best interest of the Fraser Coast region, and that certainly will be in my thoughts as we advance in the next 4 years. I congratulate all the councillors, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the next term to advance Fraser Coast region. There's a lot of potential here. Council's in a very strong position to make this region a really strong economic powerhouse and to lead the community out of this economic and social crisis that we're experiencing at the moment. So well done to fellow councillors, and again I thank my family, all my supporters and the voters in Division 9.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Wellings.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to speak for this motion, and initially I'd like to congratulate everybody on election or re-election. I think that the results of this election are indicative that, that the public generally are happy with the work of our council. That being said, majority of the council were re-elected, so I think that's really good thing, and makes me really proud to be part of the team now. I'd like to thank the residents of Division 5 for their support throughout the campaign period, which was new to me. It was my first time running in any level of government. I second what David said about how we are here to look after the interests of the entire Fraser Coast, not just our divisions. And actually, on the break just prior to the meeting, I was talking to Councillor Paul Truscott after having had a bathroom break about how excited I was sitting here in the town hall, which is a place that I've been coming to since I was a small girl, right through from standing in here, cuddling up to the boys at the blue light discos, through to attending my sister's wedding, school of Stedfords, and now here as a councillor. And it makes me very proud to be here to represent our community now. I'd like to also thank the outgoing councillors. All three of them have reached out to me in one way or another throughout the campaign or since being elected to offer their help and support, which I really appreciate. And also the councillors who have been re-elected are somewhat mentoring me as well, which I really appreciate also. Also, I wanted to thank Ken, the CEO, Ken Diem, and your team for the induction process that you're putting us through at the moment. We have got a couple of weeks of fairly intense training, but I'm really enjoying it, and I think that the team and the staff have put together a really good program for us, which is going to put me in a really good position to be able to help my constituents. I really enjoyed the campaign period. It's, like I said, it's something I've never done before. It gave me the opportunity to get into the community, to meet a lot of people, be aware of things that I wasn't aware that our community are doing. One of the highlights was delivering the quilts down to the Children's Hospital in Brisbane and actually meeting a mother there whose child has been in and out of hospital since she was a small girl, and the crew out at Tugum that sit there every Wednesday, I guess not right now, I'm not sure what they're doing with their time now, but they sit there together in the Tugum Hall every Wednesday and they make these quilts, and one of them does it by hand without any machinery. So that sort of thing I really enjoyed. And as moving forward as a councillor, I'd like to make sure that I continue that, immersing myself in the community and learning about the parts of the community that I don't know so much about. And I suppose after as Councillor Paul Truscott said before, physical distancing is finished, I'd like to get back to that, and I'm looking forward to that. So to the Mayor, to the CEO, councillors, directors, all of the staff, I'm really excited to be here working with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we can all achieve. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Chapman?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd like to congratulate you on retaking the chair. I'd also like to congratulate the three new councillors that have come in and the existing councillors that we've already got. I look around at the wealth of knowledge that we've actually got in this room, and I feel that we've got a great team working with the executive and the directors and the council that we've got in this community. I'd also like to thank the residents of Division 8, the ones that voted for me and the ones that never and voted for my opposition. I'd like to thank my opposition, because without opposition it doesn't give you the chance to look at what you've been doing and where you should be bettering yourself, and it's really, I think that is one of the things that I do take out of the election, is what I've been doing and where I'm going to grow myself from to help my community. It was been bred into me from my father that always help other people and try and look after other people in your community, and I love doing that, and I think that every councillor here that has put their hand up, and the Mayor, that have put your hand up, what you want to do is you want to serve your community to the best of your ability, and I feel that that is one of the major thrills that I actually get out of this job, is knowing that I have been able to put in some input into this community and listen to the community. And just to keep the word short, I'd just like to thank everyone, and for the next 4 years I just hope we work as a great team, and let's build the Fraser Coast to a lovely place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Sanderson?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Firstly, I'll be brief. As you know, I don't say much, but when I do, I am incredibly passionate about what I say. But firstly, guys, everyone around this table, our administration, that have been fantastic to work with over the past years. It's an exciting time where we are right now, coming into the term we are. I echo the words that everyone has said this morning, and we are all, as we know, are humbled and incredibly grateful to be here serving our community. And I've just got a couple of points that I want us to dwell on leaving here today, but some things I've learned over the past terms, and I'm sure fellow councillors can definitely agree with this, is never forget who we're representing. At the end of the day, it's the community, it's every single person in this room, it's every person out there, it's the 8-year-old child to the 90-year-old person. Never forget who we're serving, it's every single person in this region. And secondly, don't get comfortable. Never take things for granted. What gets you up each day is helping people, as Councillor Chapman has just shared. When we continue to have that at the forefront of our minds, that's how we can serve our community greatly, even with every director here, from building roads to having drinking water that we drink every single day. We are governing an incredible organisation, and it's such an honour and privilege to be here today. So I just want to say welcome to fellow councillors and new councillors, but secondly, let's have an incredible term ahead, work as a team if we can. We definitely won't agree on everything, but to walk out of this place holding our heads high, knowing we've made the right decisions for every person that lives in this region, is something that I will definitely do. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your recent re-election. I want to congratulate all the re-elected councillors and welcome the new ones along as well. It's good to have new blood in council. Also, I want to acknowledge that Councillor Light, Rough Light, Anne Madden and Stuart Taylor for their contribution over the last term and last two terms in some cases. I'm really thankful for the community of Division 1. It's very humbling to be back here. This is my 4th term as a council now, if I count my pre-amalgamation time as well. To the 70% of people who voted for me, thank you very much. To the 30% who didn't vote for me, I'll be working for you as well. I don't take sides like that, so I know those 30% I have to impress them and get them back on board. My goals for the next 4 years are pretty basic. I'm a basic sort of bloke. I want to deliver essential infrastructure for the outlying areas for my division, roads, drainage upgrades, more footpaths. I want to push agriculture. I think that's a big thing. I think we need to have another land protection officer, and I'll be looking around the room for support for that. And I know Jared will probably be looking for some more of those as well. I think that's something that really needs to be done. But look, I just want to congratulate everyone here. I really should thank my family and friends as well, particularly my wife. She stands by me for a long time. And I actually wasn't going to run for this term of council, but I decided to, and she supported me all the way, which is nice. But this may well be my last term. But I want to thank everyone here and congratulate you all again. I look forward to working with you over the next 4 years.
Thank you. Councillor Phil Truscott.
Now, I'm not sure that standing orders allow me to talk again, because I was just saying, I thought you were just saying this, I seconded it before. But yes, I'm very happy for people of Division 2 to vote for me. I'm very happy to be back here. One of the reasons is my grandfather was in this very room up there, I don't know how many years ago, probably about 60 years ago. And so to come back, it skipped my father, but I'm here, and then one generation down, he's not my son, but still he is related to me. A couple of things that my main thing, it's hard to drill down to one or two things that you want to achieve, but my goals are to make this place a better place to live, to make this place a place that people want to live and come in from outside without increasing the rates too much. But a couple of ideas would be, if to make it a better place, you've got to have better roads, better tourism, place for kids to play. I've spoken to a couple of girls at a gig I was at recently that have a dog tracker thing, and I think that is phenomenal. I'm going to be looking into that. I've got their number, because one of the things for building dog parks is they don't like dogs on the loose, so this helps to find those dogs. Filtered water streams, I saw one of those at another council area I was in. I know we have water fountains, but the ones that have bottles for exercise people, etc., would be a great thing. But anyway, thank you to everyone, and I do believe this is a great team. It's excellent. It's good to have at least one female. Good on you, Jade. So that's all I want to say, and of course thank you to my family, especially my wife. My kids were coming up, but then they weren't allowed because of the COVID thing to help me. I have so many of them. They, with them and their spouses, I've got enough for a team, so it's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further speakers? Councillor Everard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I just want to acknowledge and thank the voters of Division 7 for a vote of confidence in a third term as a part of the Fraser Coast Regional Council. And I am excited to be working along Mayor George and the rest of the team. I will too acknowledge the outgoing councillors. They all had some strengths, and look forward to building on those strengths, the gaps in those capabilities with our new team. I guess for me, like many communities right across the world, are going to be facing a number of challenges in a post-COVID-19 world. Look, I'm ready and up for any challenge, and I know that everyone around this table, including the officers of the Fraser Coast Regional Council, are ready for that challenge as well. We're not sure what the new world's going to look like, and we're not sure how we're going to attack it. But I do know that I've got a fair bit of confidence in our team here at Fraser Coast, at the Fraser Coast Regional Council, and I'm confident that we will go forward. It might be some slow steps to start. There might be a few backward steps too, but you know what? We will get there. We will get it done, and you know, we will build a better community, because that's what it's all about. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to thank the entire community for participating in the democratic process of the local government elections. The turnout to the recent local government elections was actually quite high, and I'd also like to let the community know that as far as I'm concerned, and from the indications that I get from around this room, it will be our job during the next term to turn challenge into opportunity. And I think that we've got a great team here, and we are up for that challenge.
Thank you. I too want to, express my congratulations to everyone gathered in this room. I think it's an incredible team. It's a great team of mixtures of background and experience. There's 11 of us here that have been brought together through the will and decisions of the community. And we have one councillor here who's made a comeback, Councillor Phil Truscott, 2 councillors elected for the first time this election, 2020, and Councillor Lee and Wellings. 3 that have been elected since 2016, and Councillor Chapman, Councillor Truscott, and Councillor Lewis. And when I look at a small number, only 4 of us that have been here that have been shared the last 8 years, who joined in 2012, and myself, Councillor Everard, Councillor Sanderson, and Councillor Hanson. I can't believe it's down to 4 of us. When that election, when we all came in, all of us were new, and the last 8 years have been incredible. It's felt like a lot longer sometimes, but through those 8 years, I think we can say we're different people. We've been through challenges and successes, and always worked together. And I think that's what's really important in being on a council, being in a group, is that you find the strengths in each other and lift each other up. It is an incredible opportunity to serve your community. And people, countless men and women have come through these council chambers over generations, and each one has contributed in different ways, and there's such an opportunity. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank and congratulate for their service Councillors Rolf Light, Ann Maddern, and Stuart Taylor. Each one of them contributed in very different ways. I first met Councillor Ann Maddern when she was involved in Meals on Wheels, and then when she was the member from Maryborough when I was a councillor, and we worked on many things together. Councillor Rolf Light and Stuart Taylor joined us in 2012, and both of them really excelled in different fields. Councillor Light in the finance, actually organising the budgets for several years, and in disaster response. Councillor Taylor in tourism particularly, as well as in the governance of the organisation. So, I think they helped move our region along in many different ways, and I thank them for their service. And I just want to congratulate you again. This is a significant day in your lives, coming to the first council meeting for this year, and you're contributing to the future of our region. I want to thank my family. It grew during the election. I think having a son, we welcomed our son Hugo, and I'm somebody who thinks a lot about the past, thinks about history, but having a child helps you think about the future, and I think it rounds you out, and it helps me think about what we're doing here in terms of the decisions we make and the planning we're making for future generations. So I think everyone's had a chance to speak. I'll put the motion, moved by Councillor Phil Truscott, seconded by Councillor Lee. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. The next item is item 4.2, appointment of Deputy Mayor, page 11. So this is, we've got the officer's recommendation, which we can take points 1 and 2, which is that the mayor call for nominations to the position of Deputy Mayor, and that the preferred nominee for the position of Deputy Mayor be selected by a preferential informal ballot. Is there a mover for that? Councillor Everard, is there, seconded by Councillor Lewis? Did you wish to speak to that, or are there any questions? No. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. We'll now take a procedural motion that the standing orders be suspended. Is there a move? Councillor Lewis? I'll put that motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. So now perhaps the CEO can explain how we... Well, basically what I'll now do is I'll call for nominations. There doesn't need to be a mover or seconder, and you can nominate yourself. What we'll do then, if there is more than one nomination, what we'll do, unless there are any objections, we'll undertake a ballot, preferential ballot. The results of that will be known to the CEO, and he'll inform me. That way we can then return to standing orders with a motion. Are there any nominations? Yeah? Councillor Dennis Chapman?
Thank you.
Yourself, yeah? And Councillor Darren Everard? Are there any other nominations? Okay, so is everyone clear? Perhaps I'll give you each an opportunity to address the group for a minute or so. Yeah. If you wish to take it up. I'll flip it. Do you have a coin we can flip to see who goes first?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Tails it is. You can go first.
Okay.
Are you sure? Yeah. Look, thank you, Mayor Seymour, for the opportunity to speak. Look, I think in the last 18 months, 2 years, whatever it is, I've been in this position of the Deputy Mayor. It's been a privilege and an honour. I think as a leader, I've personally grown to a whole new level that I wasn't never sure that I was capable. I always had a doubt in my mind that I was capable, but I think being in the position for the last 2 years has really developed me and assisted me a hell of a lot. I do think I have something to offer. As I've just said before, the Fraser Coast is heading into uncharted waters, and I do think that we will need strong and balanced leadership going forward, and leadership that will be able to communicate with all levels of government, and I think I have the ability to do that. The last few years I have developed some pretty good relationships in Brisbane, and I do look forward to using those to advantage our region. I'm not saying that Councillor Chapman wouldn't be able to do the same thing either, by the way, or anyone around the table. But yeah, councillors, I'm just looking for your support to continue in this role. Thank you.
Councillor Chapman?
Thank you. Thanks, Mr Mayor and councillors. I remember when I first left school and looking for an apprenticeship, and I got a job at Walker's. I walked in through those gates there to look at, to see what I was going to be doing. I was put on the floor as a young trainee, and that'd give Walker's time to look at me and see where I was heading. I then got an apprenticeship as a boilermaker, so I went down into the workshop. And when you first dawned that when you walk into do an apprenticeship, you think to yourself, what is this all about? Where am I going? How am I going to learn? And I was learning the whole time. I ended up at the end of my apprenticeship. I ended up building 150-ton coal haulers, but I had younger people underneath me when I was a tradesman. I feel that the last 4 years, that I feel that I've actually it's been really great as a councillor to have those 4 years to do your apprenticeship as a councillor, and now I feel as a tradesman. And when you're a tradesman, what you've got to do is you've got to pass your knowledge on to other people, and you've got to work as a group. And that's what I've really this week I've been trying to help the new councillors. If any information that I find that I wasn't told, that I could pass on to them. But I want to be a team member, and I've spoken to the Mayor, and I just feel that the time is right for me to become Deputy Mayor. I look at Apex. I first went to a debate. I was put in a debate up in Bigoton. And when I sat down to do this, we did this debate, and our team that night lost. And I felt I was the one that brought them down, but I was only new in Apex, and I was very nervous when I first spoke. So what I did is I said, I'm going to get better at this. So I actually used to public speak to myself, and then I learned about debating, and where I ended up is I was actually joined the state board for Apex, and I was a high school debating and public speaking director for 2 years. And my role there was to go around and talk to students and teach them how to debate. And I've seen students at grade 8 start to debate, and then grade 10 and 12, you look at them and you think, I'd never like to come up in a debate against you. I actually bring things up into council that I drop out into council. Just if I find that if the information's going one way, I always like to bring something negative or positive up to let other councillors in their mind be fresh and think about the other side of the debate. And that's how I'll work with the mayor. If the mayor comes to me, if I'm deputy mayor, and asks me about something, I'll think about it first, and then I'll talk to him, and I'll deliver what I feel that my thoughts on it and what the community's thoughts. So I'd just like the councillors to think what I've just said, and I would really like your support for Deputy Mayor, because I really want to build a team that we've got here, and I want to see it go forward. I'd like to thank Darren for the last 2 years of being Deputy Mayor, and I just feel that the time for me is right to have a go. So thank you, and I'd love your vote.
Thank you. All right, if you can vote now, Ken will come around and collect the ballots. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, I have been informed by the CEO that Councillor Darren Everard has received the most votes in the ballot. I'll now call for a mover that we resume standing orders. Yeah, a mover that we resume standing orders. Councillor O'Keefe, I'll put that motion. All in favour? All opposed? That's carried unanimously. Yep. I now call for a mover that, in accordance with provisions of Section 1752 of the Local Government Act 2009, Council appoints Councillor Darren Everard to the position of Deputy Mayor. You're moving that, Councillor Chapman?
Yep.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Phil Truscott. Are there any speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. The next item... Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to call for the nominations to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, Mr Mayor, I'm not able to destroy the nominations, but they'll be kept confidential and recorded in our document system. They are an official public record, and they need to be retained as such.
Yeah.
Mr Mayor, also I'd like to congratulate Councillor Everard for becoming Deputy Mayor, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. The next item is item... Thanks. No, what?
Hey, COVID restrictions.
Yeah, I know.
Wash your hands. Our next item is 4.3, appointment of day and time for holding of ordinary council meetings. This is page 13 of the agenda. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Everard, seconded by Councillor Truscott, with the amendment that Maryborough Town Hall becomes Maryborough City Hall. Yep. Yep. You speak to it. I think you're moving a slightly amended version, if that's correct. Yeah. Do you want to speak to it and the amendment?
Yeah, please. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, I would just like to add in there that point 6, that council lists for consideration at a future ordinary meeting after the COVID-19 restrictions are relaxed, for up to 2 council meetings to be conducted after business hours, and we would prefer for one in Hervey Bay and in Maryborough. So that'll be a point 6 that will go under the officer's recommendation. Bit of back...
You must have some wording, though. The way you read that couldn't be your wording. We would prefer.
That's the wording that the officers have...
That we would prefer.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the sentence it would be comma, preferably one in Maryborough and one in Hervey Bay.
So that,
Okay.
And just a bit of background around that. I think, look, council has taken the meetings to the outlying areas, which has been very successful, I personally think, over the last few years. But there are a number of people in Hervey Bay and Maryborough, who work, and they don't have access to sit down and watch a live stream. I've been contacted numerous times, and people say, it would be good to come along and see what actually happens at a council meeting. I will add in an asterisk there. Whether or not they will turn up or not is another thing. But I think we need to offer that opportunity for the residents in the major cities to come after hours and see actually what happens. And I think it'll be good for the council to allow this to happen. And I thank you in advance for your support on point 6 being added to that officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Did you wish to speak as seconder? Any questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. The next item is item 4.4, a nomination for election of the Local Government Association of Queensland Policy Executive District Representative. This is on page 16. Is there a mover for this recommendation? Councillor Lee, seconded Councillor Wellings. Did you wish to speak to it? No, thanks. I'll just speak really briefly. I've worked with Jack Dempsey for a number of years now, and I'm very happy for him to represent us on this committee. We through many different through Webrock, through the Hinkler deal, Jack Dempsey is and the Bundaberg Regional Council and the Fraser Coast Regional Council have worked well together, and I certainly have no interest in serving on this committee. So I'm happy to endorse him and for us to use our votes for him to represent us. If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. The next item is item 4.5 on page 30. Now this is potentially a ballot as well, so we may have to deal with it as a ballot.
We can do it by show of hands.
Yeah, okay. So we'll have to break this down. So there's 4 officers' recommendations. The first one is that in accordance with Section 10.1 of the Disaster Management Regulations, Council appoints the Mayor as chairperson of the Local Disaster Management Group. Is there a mover for that? Councillor Truscott, seconded by Councillor Truscott. Are there any speakers? And again, if there's somebody else who would prefer to do it, I'm happy for that. If not, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. So do I move this next one as a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, the next motion is that the Mayor call for nominations to the position of Deputy Chairperson of the Local Disaster Management Group, and that the preferred nominee for the position of Deputy Chairperson be selected by majority of show of hands. Is there a mover for that? Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Paul Truscott. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Okay, are there any nominations for Deputy Chairperson? Councillor Everard, are there any further nominations? If not, we'll move to item 4. Yep. That in accordance with Section 10.1 of the Disaster Management Regulations 2014, Council appoints Councillor Darren Everard as Deputy Chairperson of the Local Disaster Management Group. Is there a mover for that? Councillor Wellings, seconded by Councillor O'Keefe. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. The next item is item 4.6. Councillor remuneration, pay-as-you-go, and superannuation contribution resolution on page 32. Is there a mover for this recommendation? Councillor Chapman, is there a seconder? Councillor Lee, did you wish to speak to it? No.
As written, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to thank our Director of this area, Keith Parsons, and their team, and the CEO as well. But as we know, Mr. Mayor, what we previously went through in relation to this and to where it is today, I strongly support this, and I think it's a very good system moving forward. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, if there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. I think that concludes all the items on the agenda. Our first ordinary council meeting is next week on Wednesday in a week's time.
29th.
And this April 29th. This concludes the first post-election meeting. I want to thank everyone for their attendance today. This is unusual times. Obviously, this meeting has been closed to the public under Section 277E of the regulation. It's been live streamed. We're looking forward to times when everything will return to normal, with sports and shopping and events. But until that time, I think we'll probably continue with the closed meetings streamed until we have different health advice. But thank you again for your attendance. I'll close the meeting at 10:54. Thank you.
Done. Well done, Mr. Mayor.